Hey guys, this is Eric Broadus back again with another video, and today I wanted to honor and celebrate Black History Month. So today the title of the video is going to be African Americans, a slave class that arose from the ashes. Now the reason why I picked the title is it's not to talk about slavery or to say that African Americans are still enslaved. That's not what I mean. What it is, the purpose is the title is descriptive to show the progress and strides that African Americans have made as a group to where we are today. And obviously we've made tremendous strides, but there's still a long way to go. So basically I'll start off. Obviously slavery was abolished in 1865 by then President Abraham Lincoln. Now, these are some notable figures that I want to use. I couldn't get everybody in, but I'll give you what I got, and I'll be using my cards. I want to start off first. Figure that contributed to American society. Thurgood Marshall, known as Mr. Civil Rights. Thurgood Marshall was born in 1908, and he was the great-grandson of a slave. Thurgood Marshall graduated from an historically black university known as Howard School of Law. He was a civil rights attorney. Among his notable accomplishments, he was the chief counsel of the National Advancement Association for Colored People. Among his great landmark achievements was when he led the legal team in the case for Brown versus the Board of Education, which changed the law and it allowed the integration of the American school system. 1965, he became the U.S. Solicitor General. He won the highest achievement for civilian honors, which is the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And lastly, he became the first African American to become the Supreme Court Justice in 1967 to 1991. He was nominated by then President Lyndon B. Johnson. Second is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a Baptist minister and a civil rights activist. Dr. King attended segregated public schools in Georgia when he was growing up as a young kid, and he graduated high school at the age of 15. Dr. King received his PhD from Boston University in 1955. Dr. King is most notable. He led the civil rights movement to end racial segregation and discrimination through nonviolent methods to achieve social change. Next is Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm is the first African American woman in 1968 to be elected to Congress. She was on the 12th Congressional District. She held office in New York for 7 terms. She was the first major party African American woman to be a candidate for presidential nomination. She fought for social justice in 1972 and educational opportunities. In the arena of sports, the choice was Michael Jordan. Obviously, most people know who Michael Jordan is. Michael Jordan was a 6-time NBA champion. Michael Jordan is easily regarded by, if not most, all people and groups as the greatest basketball player to ever put on a pair of shoes. Michael Jordan had won an NCAA championship back with the University of North Carolina under coach then Dean Smith. And Michael Jordan won 2 Olympic gold medals, one in 1984 and obviously with the renowned Dream Team in 1992. But among Michael Jordan's, he had MVPs and defensive awards, but his individual accolades do not account for, I would say, his competitive heart and his will to win. He was determined, and he had an unbelievable, believable competitive spirit. And Michael Jordan helped to take the NBA to a different level and to popularize it worldwide and globally. But he is definitely considered the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Next is esteemed and renowned author Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou is a renowned author and poet. In 1970, she wrote the book I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Among her work also is All God's Children Need Traveling Shoes and the famous poem Still I Rise. Throughout her career, she wrote 30 best-selling books. May she rest in peace, Maya Angelou. For music, the choice was Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's musical career began at the age of 5 when he performed with his 4 other brothers, known as the Jackson 5, under their father, Joe Jackson. Michael Jackson would eventually move on and take on a solo career, leaving the Jackson 5 and Motown Records and signing up with Epic Records. Michael Jackson, throughout his career, won 13 Grammy Awards, was a bestseller, singer, songwriter, and dancer. The Thriller sold the most albums worldwide in history. When he made Billie Jean, it made him the first artist to have the #1 pop single, pop album, R&B single, and R&B album hold all of those charts in those categories simultaneously. Michael Jackson was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Michael Jackson ushered in a different era of music, and what he made such an incredible mark. I mean, I couldn't even begin to go through all of his songs, but what he gave to the world, introducing new dance, even some things he did in acting, you know, saying such as The Wiz. I mean, it's just his accomplishments, you know, speak for themselves, but his mark of what he left, what he gave to music and to American society, it'll be a long time before anyone reaches that status, or I would say could rarely be duplicated. But Michael Jackson, rest in peace. But what he gave us, you know, he left an incredible legacy in music and entertainment. For the military, the choice was Colin Powell. Colin Powell was a leader, and he was a 5-star general during wartime. He was part of the Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff. He strategized the American victory in the Persian Gulf War, and upon having such a great career in the military for the U.S. Army, once he retired, he then became the Secretary of State and made a tremendous impact on U.S. foreign policy. The second choice was the Tuskegee Airmen. The Tuskegee Airmen was a black combat unit that served under then Colonel Benjamin O. Davis. The Tuskegee Airmen were ace fighter pilots, and they served in the U.S. Army Air Forces from 1941 to 46. They obviously did World War II. In World War II, they did aerial combat. They were part of the 332nd Fighter Group and the 447th Bombardment Group or Battalion of the U.S. Army Air Forces. They broke the color barrier, especially at a time when the United States Armed Forces were still segregated, but they proved themselves valiantly in battle, in that colored unit, you know, could fight, you know what I'm saying, with distinct honors. Kudos to the Tuskegee Airmen for what they did in helping to pave the way for African Americans, and also for the desegregation of the armed forces, and allowing U.S. military members to become one. Desegregation started with the armed forces first, and then it eventually moved out into the civilian side. So very significant, but kudos to the Tuskegee Airmen, and shout out to all the fellow U.S. servicemen and the vets that have served. Kudos to you guys. For inventors, I chose to put them towards the back because many times we know about the famous names, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King, Thurgood Marshall, Shirley Chisholm. I mean, we can go on and on. Famous sports athletes, Muhammad Ali, but many times inventors don't get credit because they're often overlooked and pushed aside in history, but we reap the benefits of what they invent, and their inventions have a huge impact on society. They produce a societal benefit. So, I'll start off with Alexander Miles, first African American to create the modern day elevator. The method that he used, it improved the opening and closing of elevator doors. The patent that he had for creating the elevator is still being used today. His invention, it broke the color barriers and racial barriers. Next is Patricia Bath. She invented the cataract laser probe. It was patented in 1988, and her invention saved the eyesight of millions. Also, her invention restored sight to people who had been blind for decades. And lastly, in politics, I chose President Barack Obama. President Barack Hussein Obama became the 44th President of the United States. He served 2 terms, was elected twice, from 2008 to 2016. President Obama was a graduate of Harvard Law School, and he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2009, and he put into action, or to plan, the Obamacare, which gave Americans that could not afford good or decent to good health care, at least some health care so that all can have it. That is all I have for this video, and I wanted to give more information, but I didn't want to do an overload. But I will leave the links in the description of the video, so if anyone wants to do further research and look at other figures or get more information, I'll leave the links. They'll be in the description. Sources will be cited, and I thank you guys for watching the video. Please like the video. You can unlike it, leave comments, please share the video, and please subscribe to the channel. I thank you guys for your time. Thank you for listening, and this is an honor and celebration of Black History Month. Thanks, guys.